Hi. Normally I snap at the camera and I do a really silly rhyme, and we all love that. But today I want to do something a little different because today, I don't know, man. This is a little bit falling into the category of the therapy for me video, but I also hope that it will maybe reach someone who might need to hear it. So without clickbaiting or wasting too much time, I just want to talk about gear and gear acquisition and sort of the culture around gear acquisition. And just sort of, I don't know, something I'm coming to terms with now that I've separated myself from it all. This sounds like I'm like venting about getting out of a cult. And honestly, sometimes it doesn't feel too far from that. So just bear with me here. The point of this video, I'll just get it out of the way early. It's going to be kind of rambling all over the place. But the point of this video for me is when I started making music, I had a very natural question, which was, what do I need to start? And the answer to that question usually is you need a computer of some sort, you need an audio interface, and you need a MIDI keyboard. You know, that would be the ideal, right? You probably don't need the audio interface of the MIDI keyboard, but they're nice to have. But very quickly, it's easy to go down a rabbit hole of, hardware YouTube, synfluencers, etc. And convince yourself, I'm not saying that these people are convincing me, but convince yourself that you need this kind of gear to make music. You need this thing to make this kind of music. I get this question a lot at work. What modules do I need to make generative ambient music? You don't need any modules. Fucking, you can do it in any DAW. You can do it with a peak and a good sequencer. You can do it with a digatone by itself, right? Like, my point is, I don't have much of a platform, okay? I'm not a Bob Eats. I'm not a Red Means Recording. I'm not an Andre W. Huang. But I have some amount of a platform, and I have some amount of viewers who seem to me, anyway, to be at the kind of beginner level. That's not an insult. It's just a statement of reality. And that's okay, because being a beginner fucking rocks. What I want to say to them directly is you don't need any of that shit. Any of it. All that you need to make electronic music, or music at all really, but especially electronic music, is a will to make music. There are free apps, there are free DAWs, there's a bajillion free samples and VSTs and resources. You could make the next slanger banger hit using free shit and be miles ahead of any fucking dork with a Digitact and a peak sitting to his right as he films this video. Okay? Gear is fun. Gear is inspiring for some people. For me, I've actually found it's not very inspiring, and so I'm selling a lot of my gear, and that's kind of what this video is a little bit, it's kind of what's prompting this video. But you don't need it. You super don't need it. I get asked this question a lot by students when I'm doing Octatrack lessons, and I know what you're thinking.
Octodad, how can you say you don't need gear when you literally your whole channel is about a piece of gear?
I kind of wish it wasn't. And I think I'm probably going to step away from just doing Octatrack videos. I do it because it's a piece of gear I love, and it's a weird piece of gear, and it's a piece of gear that people maybe don't understand a lot or don't know what to think of. And so I think it's fun to kind of try to make it accessible to people. There's a fly flying around. I don't know if you can see it. Hopefully not. But if you can, what's up? I live in squalor. But I get asked this question. What synth do I need to make music? You don't need one. What sampler do I need? What effects pedals do I need? Dude, your laptop's an effects pedal. Just fucking plug your shit in and you're good. It's tough because I think it'd be really easy to blame it on some sort of like synfluencer gear culture. But I don't feel that that's the majority of the issue. I think it's part of the issue, to be clear. I don't think that synfluencers like your Bob Eats, like your Red Means Recording are innocent in this. But I also don't think that that's their fault necessarily. They're just sort of playing their role in the marketplace. Everybody has to have a job. I'm not shaming them, to be clear. I want no fights or beefs from this. But I think that these people with huge audiences who see these videos of them using different gear after different gear after different gear, telling you why they're so cool and why they're so interesting, not really having the context of knowing, oh, they're being paid to make this video, they're being sent this product, they probably get rid of the product shortly after, they're not going to know that. And they're going to think that they need to buy these things, or that, this is what will revolutionize their music setup. And I know that, not because I'm just some like,
I know how the little man thinks, and oh, the poor man sitting upon his hill, let me, be the noble, smart man.
It was me. That was me. And maybe I'm just extra dumb. And maybe other people are way smarter than me and are like really conscious about how capitalism works and how marketing works and how consumerism works. But I wasn't. As woke as I like to pretend I am, I was fucking dumb. And I bought a lot of gear I didn't need because of Knobs videos and Red Mead's recording and Bob Eats and Andre Huang. And it's not their fault. But it's a little their fault. It's a little their fault. But I don't fault them. Does that make sense? I don't know. I hope I don't get a lot of flack for this video. I don't want to ramble too long. The crux of this video for me is just sort of purging all this shit I have about spending too much money and time and energy thinking about gear, buying gear, selling gear, learning gear. My goal was always to make music. And for a long time, I stopped doing that, and I just fiddled with gear. And for a lot of people, that's fine. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's your goal. That was not my goal. I've been a musician for 12 years. Longer, 14 years. I'm fucking old. Oh my God. I've been a musician since I was 11 years old and I started learning how to play guitar. My goal has always been to write music and have people hear it. And I really, truly got lost in the sauce for a bit. And if you're watching this and you have the natural question, where do I get started with music? What do I need to get started? How do I develop as a musician? And you're seeing videos about, the Prophet 28 super analog mega synthesizer and the SP404 Mark II, still an objectively bad sampler, but with a screen now. You don't need it. I was purposely inflammatory with the 404 thing. I don't actually have a strong opinion either way. Looks fine. I don't know. You don't need this shit. You don't need an Octatrack. What you need is the will to make music. And you don't need me or any other YouTuber sitting behind a camera telling you, look how fucking sick this is, to make music. You just need your will. And there are a ton of resources online for how to make that music. Not the gear that you need to make that music. Not the super cool new thing, the new shiny toy that you can acquire to maybe make your music marginally better or more interesting, but actual resources of music theory, song structure, sound design, etc. Things that will actually make you a better musician and a better artist. These are the things you should be seeking out. So run far away from my channel. Maybe you love me and you just love hanging out with me, and thanks, man. That's fucking sick. I love you too. But if your goal is to make music, you don't need to watch videos about gear. You need to watch videos about making better music. And more than anything, you need to practice. You need to make more music. So go do that, I guess. I don't know. I think I'm going to end my video here because it already feels very rambly and feels like it makes no sense. But this is something that I've kind of had at the back of my head for 7 months now. And so I kind of just wanted to purge it and just get it out and say these things out loud to my audience, such as it is. I don't know if it'll go over well. It might go over like a lead balloon. It might not go over at all. I'm not doing super well recently. I don't know. But if it reaches even one new person who's getting into music and is kind of struggling with the same things I did, it'll be worth it to me. Because it was something I wasted a lot of time with and struggled a lot with, and honestly got kind of depressed about for a while. I was just lost in this cycle of discovering a piece of gear, getting really excited about it, debating buying it, being excited as it comes to me, getting it, being disappointed that it didn't revolutionize my music, selling it. And I did that over and over and over and over for a year. And it's just, it was just a bad way to live. It was just a bad way to live, and was really damaging to me artistically. And so I don't want that to happen to anybody else. And I feel like it's my responsibility as someone who is marginally in that sphere, because I'm not innocent here either, okay? As someone who is marginally in that sphere of synfluencing and, you know, throwing gear at a camera, to say, hey, you don't need this shit. You just need a will to create. And I believe in you. You can create. And you're enough, and you're smart, and you're good. Unless you're not. In which case, disregard all those things I said and fucking get better, dude. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. I want to thank you so much for watching. You could have sat down with anybody on the internet today, and for some reason you chose to sit down with me, a guy who is very much mourning the loss of my beautiful boys to those awful Dodgers, domestic abusers and anti-vaxxers. I'm not okay with it. But I think you're super cool for hanging out with me, and I really appreciate it. I will be back next week with another video that won't be this aimless and this rambly. It won't be any sort of therapy for me. It'll just be me, I don't know, yelling at the camera about the Octatrack, probably. I hope you'll stick around, and I hope you'll watch it. I will see you then. And until then, I'm Daniel. This is the Well-Organized Wall. And I love you more than I love getting a bunch of baggage off my chest in front of 4,500 people. I'll see you next week.